Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Untier Talk. It's the podcast where we talk about stuff very badly, but then people listen to it, I guess, because I'm still doing it. Not just me, in fact. Hijad is also doing it with me. Hijad, what's up?
What's up, dude?
God, this intro.
Not much has been up.
Shit's so bad. I like this podcast, but my God.
We need to get better at this intro stuff.
Yeah. Let's just pretend that intro never happened. A couple of brief PU things. This is before the Eggy suspect, but it'll probably go up by the time the Eggy suspect is over, so we can't really talk about that. I hope it gets banned. So does the entire council, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And in case there's still PU seated tour signups, there's only 11 slots left right now, and it's Sunday night, so it probably won't be. But in case there's still slots left, goddammit, go sign up. That tour is going to be fun. And that's the news. Let's go into exhibition.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got all the replays, right?
Yep.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the better games first, or just go through chronologically? You think?
We have to do it chronologically, don't we? We just have to do it like that.
Okay. So the first one was Ryza versus Kingler. That happened like day one, immediately after matchups or something. I think the teams are good to talk about, but not the game, because Ryza basically just missed 2 fire blasts and lost because of that. Oops, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I'm interested on the side of Kingler's team, because it feels like it's basically like a bulky offense style of team. Like it looks like you look at the first 4 months and you think, okay, this is straight up hyper offense. There's no way it can't be. And then it goes Alola / Quagsire, and I'm just like, that's like a weird curtail to how things are going. And I also probably say that it's a bit weak to not so much like common things, but like it's just.
My first thought was just HP Fire Lilligant. Just wow, what a matchup! But it's like you can offensively pressure pretty much every weakness, but realistically, you're not gonna be doing that well at stopping, fucking even just Stoutland, whatever, just nabbing kills. My big spook would be Alola and Eggy, but if it's like Yawn, Quagsire, or something, then it can't really set up on much, and you got fake out Kanga. So
the problem is when you Yawn and then the Alola and Eggy Giga Drains, and then that entire mind game goes on. So. Yeah, I'd definitely say the Spoopy Alola and Eggy matchup is definitely a thing in this one. Like it's nice. I like jank offense is a weird style and it can work, but in this team in particular, I do like the idea of Dodrio, Kangaskhan, and then Victory Bell, because Victory Bell, given that it's not like a sunny day set, it can. Well, it's basically a free switch where you can switch in freely on like Regirock without fearing Toxic. So I'm not sure if it gets Strength Sap.
Let's see. We saw it was especially offensive, and yeah, you can Strength Sap clear body mons. It won't lower their attack, but you will get health back. So yeah, Victory Bell is like pretty nice for breaking down rocks and stuff. Very hard to switch into. Yeah, his team was interesting. Ryza, I really like. The more standard but testing how to use Simisear kind of thing. I thought it was pretty dope. It didn't work out, and there's definitely a bit of a potential water weakness there with Hitmonchan being the water resist, but sometimes that's just how it be. And overall, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like Ryza's team. Ryza's team is something that I'd probably consider bringing to a tournament myself, just because it's not just a solid-ish, like mostly solid team defensively, but it's also, quite. You can basically force your own win cons on the game, so that's a nice part about it. The only thing that would spook me, I guess, is that you could tell from preview that it's Scarf Mesprit, and teams with Scarf Mesprit and Frostlass don't tend to fare well versus Gerda. That would be my own
Mesprit being the revenge killer always means that like pursuit plus fast things are going to be inherently annoying. I would be concerned about like Nasty Plot, Alolan Persian plus Rocky Helmet Hitmonchan check. That seems like it'd be a real pain. Stuff like that. But interesting teams. Not the most amazing game, but teams are always worth talking about. I like seeing what people are using. There's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, the teams are all pretty interesting this week. Speaking of interesting teams, the next chronological game has Katut, who always has interesting teams. And Manny, who we haven't seen out in a big PU Tour setting since I don't even know if he's ever been to
PUPL, I guess.
I guess like some point in PUPL or something. Katut also brought the Victory Bell, but Sword Stance, and I kind of talked to him about Sword Stance. I kind of feel like it's like Special, but slightly worse versus Sandslash and slightly better versus like a couple other things. Like it breaks mostly the same things as Special, but with just slight differences. I had a mon I was gonna say for what it's better against, but I forgot. This should be really obvious, but I can't think of it for some reason. It's
Chan? Eggy?
Yeah, Chan was what I was gonna say, not Eggy.
Crab?
I guess AV Crab too. That's not super relevant. No, I was gonna say Hitmonchan. SD Victory Bell like breaks the same things, but with just slight differences. And I don't know, it's just an interesting thing to see, especially paired with like this Spikes and Sub Doug Trio team. Like very interesting stuff, but honestly less jank than what he normally brings? Question mark.
I don't know if you can say that. Team. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not like it's not something that you. It's okay. I don't want to say not good. I want to say it's not like dependable. It's not something that you could just say, okay, I have my ways of being this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say things like Carmine Mesprit, I guess they look super spooky to deal with. To add on to that,
he has the same water resist.
Special attackers.
He has the same water resist as Ryza, one like moderately but not very bulky grass type that doesn't like Ice Beam, and one is Self-Est Hitmonchan. So
yeah, and then you look into it a bit deeper, and it's also like it's a bit weak to Alolan Eggy as well. Like if he gets a Trick Room up,
I think this is probably more on the spectrum of how does Eggy set up, because Hitmonchan still 1v1s Eggy. I'm assuming it's Taunt, Persian. Eggy like gets kills, but I don't really think it's really setting up Trick Room or anything.
Yeah, okay, maybe. I think it's... Yeah, I think in that case you're probably right then. Yeah, it's probably not going to set up too easily, but I still think that it's
yeah, I don't know.
For example, you would be able to set up on Hitmonchan. You would be able to set up on Hitmonchan, and I doubt it's Ice Beam Mesprit. I severely doubt that.
I don't know. But one thing I will say for Katut teams is that, like, when I build a team that's weak to something, a lot of times I'll just, like, auto lose to it with very little chance to outplay it. But, like, there's a lot of things I would say are, like, weaknesses and not ideal matchups, but none that he can't, like, outplay and just generally handle. Like, Stout actually trades with most of the team in a really annoying way, and I would call that, like, a bit weak to Stout, but not, like, anywhere near unmanageable or anything.
I feel like the thing that I like about K-Tut's, or this team specifically from K-Tut, is that it's actually quite fast. If you look at each Pokemon individually, the team is actually really fast, like across the board. So he's going to be getting his priority in whichever matchup he was going to play would be to get the hits off, to go and attack first and prey on any weaknesses in the defensive core, using his spikes as like a as like the armbar, like to force many into whatever position. So
yeah,
I do think
it's almost the opposite of Manny's. It's almost the opposite of Manny's team, which is like maybe more solid defensively, but maybe less fast and less able to really break teams, focused on more of a faddish style.
I feel like Manny's team it's on the borderline, I think, between being too passive. I don't think it's too like out there trying to win games. Yeah, and K-Tut did reveal that he was healing Wish, by the way, so Eggy does get set up on Mesprit. But yeah, I think Manny's team, potentially you could argue, and I wouldn't like be opposed to it, is that his team is proper. His team is passive. When you have a Lotus Slash, Sableye, and Lantern all on one team, it's always gonna be like that. So
Yeah, I agree. It honestly looks like a U team, though. Aside from like just being slightly weaker than what you normally bring, it really looks like you got that like Kanga, Alola Slash, Sableye core. Maybe if he had spikes, instead of like getting more wall breaking power, just spikes somewhere, like this would really be a U team. I don't hate it though, and the game was actually very close. Gave K-Tut a real run for his money, and it basically ended up in this like not quite 50-50 situation, but a bunch of like really close mind games with what moves Sableye is going to click, and between Taunt and Nightshade and stuff, and just a really close ending where K-Tut had an advantage, and Manny made a misplay by taunting, which wouldn't have lost the game which wouldn't have immediately lost the game, but he ended up getting crit on a bad turn. But like K-Tut still clearly had an advantage here. It was just like a very close, interesting end game that I don't think we can really get too far into, but it's at least interesting to look at. Both players played like fine. I don't recall any crazy misplays. I'm kind of just going through it pretty quickly, but there were no like crazy big predictions either or anything.
Yeah, I'd say Mum gave K-Tut a run for his money. I'd say it was a pretty good game. I think Mum is one of the better builders in the pool of players that we have at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops across the tour.
Yeah, because he's still playing, so we'll see what he can do. Yeah, I guess I'm looking. There was definitely a little interesting point where he defogs with Swanna and lets K-Tut set up a sub with the Alolan Dugtrio that the defog only got rid of one spike. It's not entirely clear if he needed to get rid of that one spike. Like, it might have helped with the Sableye roll, but Primeape already died to everything, and Lantern was pretty healthy, so that might have been a bit of a turning point, but it's kind of hard to say where things would have ended up.
Yeah, at that point, it's sort of like messing about 50-50s, all that type of stuff. But yeah. I think it was a fun game.
Good game, solid game. And you can find them all in the exhibition replays thread, which I might link if I remember. Chronologically, next I have Kush versus Rexus. This was like Kush doing his best to play a very difficult, annoying matchup, almost pulling it out because Rexus choked, and then Rexus gets two head smashes with high rolls both times to KO Tangela, and that was just very, very sad. There were a few misplays actually from both sides. Like, I don't know that Kush was absolutely on his top game, but that's definitely like the final thing that I take away from it. But two really interesting, like team side, I think is where you get more interesting stuff, because Kush actually brought a team you built, and Rexus, I don't know who built it, but it's super weird. Like, Rexus's team is super
like Tasker
weird.
Built it. Tasker, it looks like a bulky offense built by Tasker, if I had to guess.
I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like because I could sort of see what Tasker was trying on it. I feel like the type null was almost like a here's my hope at beating Eggy. I'm gonna have to outplay otherwise. There's the
yeah, I guess, but like null is supposed to cover so many goddamn things. It's literally like, I'm just gonna keep null alive for that one Pokemon that I otherwise can't beat. That's what this team looks like, because so many things are just like super scary except null, because null just does wall that much, and it's more of a matter of like, if the opposing team can put up enough threats that's not really a viable strategy. And Kush's team was way too like passive and aggron weak for that to be able to happen.
I feel like the game. I said I was saying about this. The game was all hitched on how Rexus played the aggron. If he played the aggron well, or the aggron got lucky, or whatever, then he was going to win the game. And if he didn't play aggron well, he was going to lose, because Kush had answers, like more than enough answers for basically everything else on his team. So it really came down to those series of plays with the aggron and hitting the head smashes on the Tangela. After Rexus sort of allowed Kush to get a more commanding position than he probably should have been. I think it was just unlucky on Kush's part, because the two high rolls, they're really
I agree, because this was just a lot of like, you need to manage Tangela versus an aggron, where aggron like can possibly 2-hit KO with head smash if you're switching in, but requires rolls and hitting. It just becomes very messy. Interesting game though. Really sucks. Kushalos being 1-2 now, which is not what you'd expect to see from him. But between this and like the much more blatant just bad luck versus Sam, definitely like struggling a bit. And I hope he can bring it back, not just because he's on our team, but this isn't where you typically see Kush, and I definitely still have a lot of faith in him. So we'll see where that goes. But moving to the next game, TJ versus Evigero, which I kind of have the least to say about out of everything.
Let me have a look at this game. Yeah, I don't like Evie's team. I think that was what I came out of the game. I feel like Evie focused heavily on the offensive aspect rather than focusing on a defensive core, I guess. She just basically loses to Lilligan. Like, grass types in general just do bits on her team. Given that they can just sleep powder on like Eel, Regirock, Sylvalia if they wanted to.
Lilligan very scary, but that like there are a lot of mons, even the ones that don't straight up win from preview. It's like I could see them being really scary with a specific core. Lycanroc, Nasty Plot, Alolan Persian, with mons that can weaken Primate, because for offense, this team is actually like kind of slow. You've got a Scarf Ape, which is a relatively pretty abusable mon, which is why I'm like listing these other things that in conjunction with mons to abuse Scarf Ape could really be problematic. And then like Jinx Silvally with some Absol Sucker Priority, that's not especially fast, really would make me concerned. Whereas TJ brought like super standard offense that has a Quagsire, almost in the same way that Rexus's team was like, I have a type null for all the things I lose to. TJ's like, I have a Quagsire for all the things I lose to. TJ's team does look a little and Eggy weak, but Quagsire is like the only setup fodder. It's probably Yawn or something. So, well, no, actually, there's a good chance he's not. Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say he's probably not Ice Beam Master, but he is Scarf Mesprit, so I guess that's one thing. But TJ just like... TJ didn't even like play that... Oh, yeah, no, go ahead first.
I just wanted to add that Eevee's team is just super weak to Girder as
well. Oh, yeah, Girder
like,
too.
It's not like... The thing is with the team, it's like it's not a bad team. Like, if you look at it offensively and her win conditions, and she has like a room to outplay things, but the amount of mons that are like just high up the tier in terms of like how good they are, like your Eggies, your
Mesprits and Skuntanks and like
Girders, your Mesprits,
how good and scary thing. Like Evigero does not have many good scary things, and even like the Jinx Absol, pretty weird offensive core. You don't see either of those too often. Like the Jinx didn't have a fighting move to break Slash, which really sucked. Absol is just often not super scary, and TJ didn't play amazingly, but I think he played fine. Like very early game, he sets up 2 spikes and then gets Destiny Bond to remove the Electros, which is always a wall breaking threat.
Electros was actually one of Eevee's keys to winning this game, I felt. So like you could imagine that Electros would be coming in heavily on the Primate U-turn. So it would be like Volt Switching on your Quagsire. Like it would be that Giga Drain versus Volt Switch momentum, like mining game almost.
Yeah, and you could see Evigero
which is always in Eevee's favor, but considering that died, that was the hopes of that game.
Yeah,
like a really like close
and
game.
You could see Evigero didn't really have any other ways to pressure Quagsire. Like he tried double she tried doubling on it, and that didn't really do anything, and eventually got Jinx in on it, and then Jinx died because it couldn't kill Lil and Sandslash, and at that point Evagero basically lost to Quagsire. But that didn't end up happening because instead Evagero lost to Lilligan. Oh no, never mind. The Quagsire did end up sweeping. I'm misremembering. Like the Quagsire basically killed. Now Lilligan got the final kill, but no, the Quagsire was basically when it ended it. And yeah, I don't know. There wasn't a lot. TJ bringing like the most standard team ever, and Evagero just like bringing a team with holes, and Evagero basically lost at TJ. And like I said, I don't think TJ played exceptionally, but he didn't make any errors or anything. He didn't have to play exceptionally. He just did the very basic things and got the very basic win because that was fucking free. Which really sucks because I do think Evagero, like 3-0 SBL Evagero, much higher ceiling. But this was not what I'd expect. Also, one of our HT is about to play for exhibition. They're just gonna know Johns, I guess, because as we're recording this, round 4 went up like 15 minutes ago tops. So he's about to go no Johns as we're recording. We can hit Tasker versus LST pretty quick. Tasker brought a. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not the right chronological order.
The next game. No.
Yeah, no. Let me move this. We can hit
Ima versus Zeri.
Oh yeah, we can hit this one really quick. Ima brought like a really bad screens team that looks like I'm gonna slap on screens without having any idea what it looks like in this tier, and I hope I have a matchup. And Zeri brought like a interesting looking team that's also not a typical Zeri team, so I like that they're branching out. And then Zeri just like played fine and won. Ima's team was silly. And frankly, Ima's starting again next week, and I hope they bring better stuff because Ima's not a bad player, but this team was just silly. Like, it's just silly screens. And then the next game is just Lycans brings Rain, and Fagdron has a good Rain matchup, and it was just silly Rain, and Rain lost. And then the next game was just silly Rain, and Sam had a good Rain matchup, and Rain lost. So like, we had a really good week to start out, and then the next 3 games were dumb screens and 2 Rain games. Like, ew.
Yeah, pretty much. It was touching on the Rain games. I feel like Rain it's almost not something that you'd associate with tournaments, and I feel like it might be because maybe Eggy is a bit tough to have like a decent matchup around. People are like branching out, trying to get into like an autopilot win rather than a one that you have to manufacture yourself.
Yeah, I questioned if it was because Teddy and Dibs were just too busy. Holy shit, there's been 2 exhibition games played already, and our dude's about to play. People are just no Johnsing. Anyway, I questioned if like this was just because Teddy and Dibs were too busy to prep people, but apparently this was an intentional thing that they wanted to try double Rain. They just didn't end up with good matchups, which is the huge risk of running Rain. Rain is not reliable. Fagtron had Abomasnow and just like generally hard Rain things like Electros and Pom Pom. And Sam had a team with Protect on half his Pokemon, and also just generally Rain annoying things like Lilligant and Lantern. Literally Protect on half his Mons to stall out turns. Like, it was just silly.
I mean, that's not what you associate with Sam. What you associate with Sam is hard, fast specs CB on basically everything. But it's interesting to see him branch out and try and like work with balance. And I think that he probably got an easier win than he should have this week, just by virtue of a Rain matchup. Meaning that he doesn't really have to.
Yeah, but I do like the teams of all 3 people who won that we listed. Jiri, I think, brought an interesting looking different team that is cool.
I like Jiri's team as well. I think that was a pretty nice like spin on offense. With the spikes and an Aggron, it was pretty nice. I liked that. I also liked Fagtron's team.
Fagtron's team was fun. It was SD Abomasnow, I think, with some wall breaking, but like not really with a fast win con. It was more like a fat thing with also a Pom Pom and an Electros to break and like a Girder, so that you have to be really careful what you sack so Girder doesn't win late game. Sam's team brought a Scyther, which I know you hate, but other than that, I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind Scyther,
it was Volt Turn with a decent. It was Volt Turn without a defogger, which is really weird because spin blockers are kind of common, but assuming like maybe he was like, I don't necessarily have to always have rocks off, and my sand slash is okay at removing anyway. And the Lilligant's a pretty good win con for the type of volt turn teams. Like, Lilligant is so scary that you have to really be careful.
Yeah.
HT is playing now, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I just joined. Oh, you just joined too. Oh man, I hate recording this like as our teammates playing, but it's not like we can do anything to help. We don't.
Yeah. Cough, cough.
No, don't ghost Flens.
Swiftly moving on. What's the next game?
The next and last game is Tasker versus LST. LST brought a very cool team built by you, which I approved of and liked, and Tasker brought a silly team that wasn't very good.
Yeah,
which is really unfortunate. Tasker being 0-3 now, just absolutely not really having a chance at matchup, but like that's his fault. He was super Alolan Eggy week. He was quite troubled by HP fighting Articuno. The LSD kind of just played the game and won. Scarf Primate meant that Mesprit had to stay really gosh darn healthy. It was just not a fun time. You also had him bring a level 97 Alolan Exeggutor, which I was sad about because I specifically, in my game versus you for DPL, I brought level 97 Eggy because I'm like, I think Kajad's still running level 98, and my team was like, why are you running level 97 Eggy? That's so stupid. I should actually show them this replay.
Yeah. I think the thing with Eggy is now it's just sort of about underleveling. I was pretty sure because last time Tasker tried to play me, he brought a Hail team with a level 99 Alolan Exeggutor. So I thought maybe he'd try to underlevel me, go level 98. So the next step down is obviously level 97. So that's the whole mind game there with
it's really stupid. We got to get rid of this thing. But the first draft of the team I built to face you had a level 97 choice specs Alolan Eggy. I was legitimately going to use it.
The thing is, when you have level 97 specs, it's like you never expect 97 specs. Like 99 specs, okay, maybe that's some sort of like some way like you can sort of. It's only one level, right? But 3 levels, and then you're just putting choice specs on it.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing: it would have also been mid speed to serve as my Alolan Egg check, my Trick Room Alolan Egg check. Like max speed specs is obviously good for things like you can outspeed like slow Roselias and Regirocks and whatever, but you can also just make it min speed specifically if you need an Alolan Egg check if you think you've undersped enough because this Mon is silly as hell. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's for sure it's a I think it's weird. I think the Pokemon not to be on a dead horse, but it's pretty stupid. It's pretty stupid. The Trick Room set in particular is just stupid, but I hopefully fingers crossed it's banned. If it hasn't been banned and this is Tuesday and it hasn't been banned, please come into the Discord and tag me.
If it's not banned,
I'll rage.
I'm already out of seasonal
I'll rage for you
because I did no prep and then I got haxed, which I did no prep. I didn't really deserve to win that much, even though I would have won. But I will not. I don't think I'll even build for seeded. I'll just if it's not banned, I'm literally just gonna take a step back from playing PU. I already made circuit finals. I have nothing left to prove, and I don't want to play this tier with Egg and build with this tier with Egg. Anyway, let's do a happier note very briefly. Exhibition week 4, we have the matchups. Is there anything you want to talk about? Like there are a lot of good matchups. Pretty much everything is a good matchup actually. We got Eevee, Katut, and Rizaziri, which are both fun. We got Shane Ghoul. Shane Ghoul is finally starting in PU over Osh. And the Snackers, which was Osh and Lycans before Osh got taken out, they're 0-6. So hopefully Shane can bring them something. We got Kush versus TJ, which is obviously going to be pretty dope if we get some good games. And then we got Manny and Ima still starting for the Guardians after Manny had an interesting lost to Katut, and then Ima just brought a ridiculous team. So we'll kind of see where that pans out. Anything you want to say on those?
No, I think just in general, the matchups that look kind of. I just want to see how Shane does, to be honest, because I feel like Shane is a much more proactive builder than what Osh is. So, with his knowledge, like somewhat knowledge of the PU meta, I feel like he might be able to influence his team a little bit. And I'd definitely say that he has an advantage over the likes of Rexus because of that. You know, he's been in and around PU for a while now, so he will know what teams suck and which teams don't.
I agree. Rexus has also been not very impressive, like
convincing.
I think he's actually 2-1, but kind of lucked Kush, and really, like, none of the plays of the teams have been that impressive. I think he's got Tasker and tricking support, but that's just not been as impressive as you would have thought. And Tasker is struggling a little bit in exhibition, so I don't know. We'll see where that leads. So do we want to run into the final and favorite segment? I think that's about it.
I guess we have to now, don't we?
Yeah.
The great Hijad's gimmick corner, and as per usual, I'm looking for a set in my builder. That has not been.
You had so much enthusiasm. So, like last week, I was dead, so I can't judge anyone. But you had so much enthusiasm. If you got nothing, I can take over. I brought some heat to DPL. I can use anything on that team.
Maybe we could say 3 attacks Articuno because of the game. It was slightly bulky, modest.
That's 3 attacks Articuno is not anything new. That's just basic Articuno. Okay.
It's fun.
So versus Hijad for Discord Premier League, which I unfortunately lost. I brought some fun stuff. I brought a Jump Love. I brought the Scarfalo and Sand Slash. But the main core was this idea of Grass Knot Mawile to lure Quagsire for Belly Drum Zangoose. This was some heat, and it genuinely did some shit in tests versus Quag teams. And even if you don't have a Quag team, Mawile is just fun and not worthless, and it can afford Grass Knot in my opinion. But I think Belly Drum Zangoose is not an especially good mon right now, in that there's a lot of things like Girder, Alolan Persian, Scarf Kabutops, Sableye, Quillfish, Rocky Helmet, Skuntank, whatever, that give it trouble. But it's literally unseen in tours, which is fair because it's not a super reliable mon, but I don't think it's completely not worth using. Same with actually Toxic Orb. I know that it kills itself really fast in a meta with Aftermath and Helmet, and needing to predict around lots of normal resists and all that, but I genuinely didn't find Zangoose that terrible. Even if it's just trading or getting a kill on one other big hit, that's not worthless, and I feel like people could think about working with it because it is unique to Stoutland and Kangaskhan. It's not completely outclassed, and I don't think we need to see 0.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about Zangoose, actually, because I had a really hard time laddering for the Eggy suspect, because the team that I had was actually quite bulky. So it was the same team that Kush brought, actually, that I used for laddering for the suspect. So I was using that, laddering for the suspect, and then there was this guy who had over 5,000 games on the PU ladder. And he had this crazy hyper offense team.
What? Who? What is this? Well, maybe you shouldn't. You don't have to say if you don't want to say their name. You can PM me. But over 5,000 games.
Yeah. I mean, he's a ladder random. That's. I assume that. I don't think I've seen him around talking to people and whatever. But yeah, it's 5,000 games on the ladder, and he had this crazy mental herb Smeagol team, and me, obviously being me, I led with Torn Frostlass to try and prevent the hazards from going up.
Got mental herbs Smeagol. Right? Holy shit! It even gets magic coat. What the?
Yeah, he absolutely annihilated me. So he got the spikes and full spikes and full webs up by the time I figured out what was going on. To which time I went into Kangaskhan, tried to threaten him out. He went into Caracosta hard. So I thought, oh shit, this is probably Shell Smash, given that this is the star team. Nope, he clicks Stealth Rock as I go into Tangela defensively. and then he had like a screens memento something. I can't remember what has screens memento. There was some weird mon with screens memento. I think it was comfy, not comfy, cottony. Yeah, and it had screens and memento into Zangoose, and I had nothing for it. I was boned into the next century, and I just X'd out. I was done for the night after that. That's crazy. I've never seen Mental Health Smeagol, but
that's
that was
a
incredible.
big yikes. But was this going anywhere, or was it just a story? I mean, I don't mind a story. We should tell more stories on this podcast, but
it's just a general anecdote. And what was I saying about? It was about me struggling on the ladder, wasn't it?
I guess. I don't know. Point is, Hajjad's Gimmick Corner, Mental Herb Smeargle. Give it a shot. It's more shit than you think.
Yeah.
Basically. So with that, I think that's this week of exhibition. Next week we'll have more exhibition. We'll have seeded power rankings, and most importantly, if we're lucky, Eggy will be gone. And if we're unlucky, I'm not playing this tier. I'm just gonna drop out as seeded. Top 5 seed. I'm out.
Nah, Eggy isn't that bad.
I'll play, but I will not prep. I won't prep. I won't do it.
It's a weird mod. I think the meta's still buildable. I just think you just have to.
No, it's just not fun. It's just not fun to build. It's like I'm not in seasonal, so I'd be prepping for this 1 PU subform tour when I can be playing like I'm in Little Cup seasonal. Little Cup's really fun. I'm in other metas Grand Slam. I like playing other metas. Why am I going to play this tier with Eggy in it? I don't know. It'll probably get banned. But if it doesn't, a mon that the council unanimously thinks should be banned, I'm going to have some thoughts. I'm going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
This is a mon that we're already using level 97 of to check, and this is like a legit thing. That's all right. Well, hopefully this salt is for nothing and it gets banned. But thank you all for listening.
The anti-ban posts have been pretty popular, so check those out if you haven't seen them. But also,
no, don't read the anti-ban post. Just vote ban. You don't need to read anyone's anti-ban post. You just need to vote ban. Just do it.
At least like the anti-ban post. Come on, come on.
No,
don't. You know what I'm saying?
No, bad ban. Okay.
Well, it's gonna be gone anyway.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll just talk to you next week. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. Do you think that's what we're gonna do?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Okay, next week, same time. Sounds good. All right.